So again, each of you has up to 3 minutes. The yellow light is 30 seconds, and the red light, I will ask you to make way for the person who comes after you. So thank you very much. So I'm going to start then with Elizabeth Hanley-Szabo, and then Scott Compton, and then Breanna Porteous. If you could introduce yourself, welcome.
Elizabeth Hanley-Szabo, nice to see you all again. I wanted to start by asking everybody who's here to support the relocating of Elk Meadow cell tower to stand up, please. And it's my understanding that there's a lot more people in the hallway that didn't fit. So 2 months ago, a smaller group of us came here to speak about the cell tower, which is being constructed next to Elk Meadow Elementary School. After that meeting, several of you graciously responded, another meeting ensued, and we were told that the city's hands were tied as the permit had already been issued. We accepted that at the time and determined that our best course of action was to petition Verizon to relocate the tower to a safer distance from our children's school. Now, 2 months later, after much scrambling, hard work, and dedication by numerous caring parents, grandparents, and community members, we've amassed a now over 1,300 signature-strong petition to Verizon. We hand-delivered it to them last week and will be submitting updates as the signatures grow. I have a copy of the petition packet we submitted that I'll leave here with you. As you can see, there's a lot of opposition to this tower. 1,302 people as of this morning, to be exact. Over 1,300 people didn't express their concerns during the permit process 2 years ago simply because they didn't know. They know now. We do not want the cell tower next to Elk Meadow Elementary School. Cell towers next to any elementary schools are a bad idea, highly reckless and irresponsible for reasons I believe we drove home at the last meeting. But this tower, our community is taking a stand on. It needs to be moved. We, all of us, are here today to tell you that we need your support. We have been working our butts off to advocate for these kids, not just for our own children and not just for the 500 other children at the school this year, but for the thousands of children who will be put at risk from this tower over the years to come. We need your support. We need you, Mr. King, city manager, to pick up the phone and call Verizon on our behalf and work with them to relocate this tower. You have the power. Other cities have successfully relocated towers, some even after they're up and operational, because other city managers have stepped up and represented their residents to make this happen. We need you to have our backs on this. Standing up here is not easy for me, and probably most parents. Working on this when my kids are transitioning back to school and sick and needing me, and I have a million other things to juggle as a mom, is not easy. This isn't fun. But we're doing this because it's the right thing to do. That's why we're here, because we care about our children and the children in our community, because we need to keep our kids safe. But we need you to help us do that. Tomorrow morning, pick up the phone, call Verizon, work with them to move the tower. Keep our kids safe, represent us. Do it because it's the right thing to do. Mr. King and counselors, we need action now. Thank you. And here's the petition for
all right, so that's your one and only. From here on out, no cheering. No cheering. This is a respectful place, so anyone can say anything they want and they feel safe in this room, and that's really important. And so please, do you think you're good with that? Can you honor that? All right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, Scott Compton and then Breanna. All right.
Don't cheer after mine. Okay. As you know, I'm Scott Compton. I've seen you guys before. I live in Bend. I'm a former chemist, biologist, video game designer, and now I run a company called Lifestyle Hygiene. And what I do is I go into different homes and businesses, offices, outside places, including Elk Meadow School, looking for various radio frequencies. You know, we can hear the garbage from all the wireless devices in here on the acoustic meter, but I have multiple meters that measure this. I measure all kinds of things. My company, I'm going to give you guys a status update. So I've been to the school and I've been inside the school. I've been on the school grounds around it where the phone tower is going to be close by. I've been to 5 other residents around the neighborhood, and all the levels are really low there. They're really baseline at the moment. So they're like 0.008 to about 0.05 milliwatts per square meter. And I have this video recorded. So when this phone tower turns on, we can see what changes. you know, because like when a car goes by out by the school, I can actually see like somebody's cell phone. They're using it because the levels are so baseline out there. I can actually pick up their stuff. So just wanted to give you all that information. So typically phone towers, they'll generate what I find in my readings that I've done over the years is about 100 to 10,000 times more radiation than what's currently out there. All right. I'm just going to get into a few quotes here. Daphne Tackover, she runs the group We Are the Evidence, and she said this on a post online last month. Next time you hear somebody say that the exposure to something harmful is really quite low, remind the speaker about leaded gasoline and BPA. Those exposures were low, but they turned out to be very harmful. Here she pulls out a cell phone, remind the person that that's what the wireless industry is saying about the cell phone cellular antennas. The exposure is very low, but it turns out in the field of biological effects, a little can mean a lot, especially if we're exposed to that little bit continuously for decades. Though this radiation is not little, Dr. Ole Johansson says it's a quintillion times higher than just 30 years ago. That's quintillion is a 1 with 18 zeros followed after it. Now, last year in Michigan, Senator Pat Colbeck testified about wireless radiation in front of their Senate there. And he says, I know that there's a convenience issue. I'm addicted to this stuff myself, right? This is an issue where I love the convenience of having wireless access. But I also know that in Article 4, Section 51 of our Michigan Constitution, our primary concern is supposed to be the health of our citizens. This is supposed to be the primary concern. So think about that. Communications versus public health. Sorry.
Scott, I think you're almost out of time.
Okay, thank you. One last sentence. So he continued, I just want to make sure that people understand our constitutional duty. All of us know that in our hearts, we would not willingly move our family or move our home next to a cell phone tower.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Breanna and then Janelle Sylvester.
Hi guys, I'm Breanna. I have 3 children at Elk Meadow, and I'm sure many of you, as you stated earlier, have kids too. And I don't know if you guys would be comfortable putting a cell tower in a backyard, but essentially that's what's happening to our kids. And we are just here, all of us together as a community, to ask you for your support to help us move this tower. As Elizabeth said, we contacted Verizon, and we need you guys as our muscles. And on Verizon's disclaimer, when you buy a cell phone, it states that they will not follow up with any insurance claims that involve the pollutants that they call that are coming off of these cell towers. And that's what I want to leave you with, is it is a pollutant that's coming off of these cell towers. It is impacting our children who do not have developed enough skulls to fight as much as we do against these cell towers. We choose to use cell phones against our own knowledge, but these children are not choosing to put a cell tower within this radius of their school. And it's extremely important that you guys help fight for us. Thanks.
Janelle Sylvester and then Jennifer Barron.
Hi, it's Janelle Sylvester, but thank you for hearing me out. I'm a parent of an Elk Meadow student, and I just wanted to bring up a couple points tonight. I've done a lot of research over the last couple months and learned a little bit about the procedure for permitting this type of tower in this area. And basically, you're right, people within 750 feet were notified of this tower, but I have a map here that I can hand out. I don't know, that's maybe like 100 houses, realistically. There's 500 students that go to Elk Meadow. As you can see here in the boundary in blue, this is the Elk Meadow boundary area. And this blue circle here are the people that were notified. So most of the parents of students were not notified. So why aren't we as parents given the same opportunity to appeal a cell tower being built next to our children's school as residents are? Like, where is the gap here? Because the school board is saying it's not their responsibility, and you guys are saying it's not your responsibility. But I don't really feel like it's my responsibility to know what's being built on some land. You know, I realize that people were notified 2 years ago, but it was such a small group of people. I think this is an issue for this tower, for my family, for my neighborhood, for the Elk Meadow community, but it's an issue for other schools in Bend. Something has to change. marijuana dispensaries cannot be within 1,000 feet of schools. Why can't we make it so cell towers also can't be within 1,000 feet from schools? You say the FCC ties you, but you know with FCC, it's my understanding, you can't have a blanket statement that no cell towers are allowed in Bend, Oregon, but you can differentiate between where they are allowed. You can say that they are not allowed in residential areas. And this is being done in cities and towns across the country. So sitting here and saying that there's nothing to be done, in my opinion, is false from the research that I've done. You guys can change your policy. You can strengthen our land use code. You can overhaul our current wireless code and restrict the placement of cell phone towers in residential areas. You can put a radius around schools to protect them from dealing with the same situation. Things can be done. Be creative. I don't know. I'm just a mom. I'm just trying to learn, but I feel like we can work together and make sure that this doesn't happen again. And I think that there is action that can also prohibit this from actually going up at Elk Meadow. I'd also like to say I have tried to transfer my daughter. She's on the wait list for 3 schools. What else am I supposed to do? I mean, I'm looking into homeschool. I'm looking into moving. I have neighbors that have moved. This is an important issue, and we want to feel like we're being heard and the action is taken. Please help.
All right, thank you very much. So Jennifer and then Tiffany Thornton, I believe.
Jennifer Barron?
Jennifer Barron?
Yes, hi. Thank you for letting me speak. I will be brief. I'm a little disappointed in the city of Bend. You guys are here throwing up your hands. I can't do anything. Yes, you can. I mean, you were saying that so you can sleep at night, but I really hope you can't sleep at night because we all know the health effects of wireless radiation. Children absorb much more radiation than adults. And you guys did this. This was you allowed this to happen. So my question to you, who's going to pay the medical bills for these kids at the school? Are you guys all going to start a fund? What is the city of Bend going to do? And I also want to point out that I have tried to track the cell phone applications in the city of Bend since I moved here 5 years ago. You make it impossible for a citizen like myself who is concerned about microwave radiation to track cell phones. I have to call people, you kind of put it out, I have to read weekly things. So you've done this to these kids. So I hope, with cell phone radiation of these kids, the health effects over time. So I hope you can look these kids in the eyes in 5-10 years and say, yep, I did that, and I will help you pay for that and the parents for all your medical bills. Thank you so much.
Tiffany Thornton and then with a W. Salome Woodward.
I'm Tiffany Thornton. I'll be very brief as well. But I just know with all the information out there, I want you to ask yourself, can you really say with 100% certainty that this tower poses no risk to the children and the residents of this community? I highly doubt that any one of you can sit here and say you're 100% sure that this is safe and that this is a good choice. I mean, if it's not healthier for the children, then why are we doing it? I think at this point, we should all just be thinking of what is the healthiest option for our children. I don't think there's anybody that can say, this is good for your health. So with that, I just urge you to take action. I think if nobody speaks, then nothing will happen. If nobody moves forward, then nothing will happen. If you say our hands are tied, nothing's going to happen. It's up to you to put things into action. You're our leaders, and you guys have the influence that we need to make this happen. If you guys back us up and call Verizon and make your voices heard, then maybe something can be done. And I just think that we need to be the advocates for our children. We need your help. And I think that I just want to see some action happening. I know that you guys say your hands are tied, but I think more can be done. I really do. We've seen it done in other cities. And if you don't speak up, then obviously nothing's going to happen. So we just need your help, and we need your voices. I just want there to be some change, and we just want your help. So thank you.
Salome, and then William Murphy.
Hi, my name is Salome Woodward, and I live in Bend, Oregon. 4 years ago in California, a bill, AB 57, was passed. This bill, firefighters, fire stations were given exemption not to have cell phone towers on or adjacent to their facilities. Why do you think that is? It's because there were increasing complaints among the firefighters of all kinds of different symptoms. A study was done by Dr. Gunnar Huser, and there were a lot of neurological damage. The MRI scans showed abnormalities in the brain, those like brain injuries. And these are adults with fully formed brains. As all of you know, children's brains are not fully formed. They have thinner skulls. You know, I don't know about the federal laws or anything like that, but I do know that our children are very precious to all of us. They are our future. And I think that we need to take into consideration, you need to ask yourselves, are you willing to put our children at risk for neurological damage, even worse? Cancer. They pulled the cell phone tower out of the ribbon school because of cluster of cancers. Other cities, as other people have mentioned, have fought these. Sebastopol, you can't put them in. Napa is currently fighting it. Our children are worth the future. They're worth not getting sick. We put this cell phone tower someplace else. Don't gamble with our children. Thank you.
William Murphy and Melissa Forney.
I guess we all have to change carriers from Verizon to somebody else. That's right. This is a marvelous forum. I don't know whether you gentlemen are aware of this, but this forum was started in the 2nd century, where people argued like we're doing today. Socrates, Cicero, all the greats of those. That's where this all started, and it still exists today. So we're grateful. I applaud all the research that everybody has done. It's marvelous, marvelous, and so true. There's no question about cancer being a result of electromagnetic forces. No question whatsoever. When it takes place is a question, and it's usually years and years afterwards. I may give you a parallel. Most of you will know this from history, if not from personal experience. You'll recall that in the mining coal, the men would go down into the mines, and they would keep on working and working and working, and then eventually they'd come out and they'd find out they had black lung because they cut some of them open after death. But then they got wise, and they got a what's the bird I want to canary, and the canary goes down there. So canary knows when the gases are bad enough to hurt you. So the canary would make noise, then everybody would get out. Okay? This is the same thing that's happening here in our life. And that is that we're getting all these fumes, these gas fumes, in the form of electromagnetic forces, and they are damaging our lungs. And we do not have a canary to help and stop this. So I beg of you, take this seriously. Take this seriously. You know, I don't know. I'm sorry for all the people that live close by. I myself live practically under it, but it is dangerous. So God bless you all, and thanks for all the hard work you have done, and hopefully the continued hard work that you will do for us. Take care.
Melissa Forney and Paul Bacon.
How are you? I'm a mother of 2 children that attend Elk Meadow, possibly soon to be 3. I'm here to inform you that I will not stand by and let my children be used as guinea pigs. There's not enough science to back that these towers do not cause any harm to our children. There are numerous countries that have done extensive research into what these towers do, and a lot of them have outlawed towers in general, and it's especially 5G. If you don't help us get Verizon to relocate, you'll be giving us parents no other choice but to completely take our children out of school or relocate them. That won't just be a burden on us as parents, but our children and the overpopulation of other schools. Yes, we are fighting for the specific one to be relocated, but it goes far beyond that. It needs to have an impact on future towers and their locations. Until extensive research has been done on the effects of cell phone towers, schools is the last place they need to be. We beg for you to stand beside us and do not allow Verizon to install this tower anywhere near our children, where our children will be learning. Our children's brains need to be filled with math and science, not radiation. A cell phone tower at a school is no place, especially an elementary school. Thank you.
Paul Bacon and then Gayle Jett.
Thank you, Mayor, council people. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here, and thank you everybody who has come. In light of the fact that so much is unknown about the dangers, I have a few modest proposals for what we could do with that in the future, in addition to working to move back the tower. Okay, these are some of the steps that I think that we should take as a city. That is to revisit and revise whatever code or rule allowed Elk Meadow Elementary School cell towers operation permit to be issued without direct advance notice to all of the parents of Elk Meadow students, not just those who live within 750 feet of the tower. Number 2, we should also change said rule so that the advance notifications are published in local newspapers and sent by mail to every home in the school area's boundary, not just the families of students at the subject school that have already enrolled. Number 3, create a task force whose responsibility it is to prepare for and immediately act upon the reported findings of the Oregon Health Authority's review of scientific studies regarding wireless technologies in schools, which is due January 2nd, 2021, pursuant to Oregon Senate Bill 283, which passed with overwhelming bipartisan support in June 2019. Second to last, to work directly with Bend Lapine schools and all relevant parties to ensure there is no unreasonable delay between the release of the above referenced report and the implementation of its recommendations for our kids' safety. And lastly, I would like us to acknowledge as a group and to ourselves as individuals that every person, not just every council member and not just every parent, has a responsibility to stay informed and open-minded about how technology is affecting our lives and shaping our kids' future, and to take all reasonable actions that are called for to protect our community. Those are my recommendations. Thank you very much for hearing me out.
Gayle Jett and Live Lifeful.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you. My name's Gail Jett. I'm a nurse practitioner and have been one, sometimes it feels like since the earth cooled, but for about 40 years. And so there are certain, patterns that I see. But really what I want to talk to you tonight about is one issue that hasn't really been brought up yet, and that's the issue of dirty electricity, which is very well linked to cell towers. Dirty electricity, in my opinion, is a public health and safety issue. Dirty electricity is in this room. It's a result of industrialization. And really it's also known as high frequency voltage transients. And essentially what's happening is different appliances will, when they interrupt the current flow, such as a light dimmer switch, that can interrupt current flow up to 20,000 times per second. When that happens, that is sending these voltage transients out into our environment. So in our homes and in our businesses, we're all being exposed to that. It's part of being an industrialized nation. But we can, and there are things we can do to mitigate that. The problem is just as people have talked about tonight, the effect on on young children's developing brains and nervous system. But I want to take a little further. I got interested in this issue a couple of years ago when I read a book called Dirty Electricity, written by Dr. Samuel Milham, who's an MD and also an epidemiologist. Epidemiologists are people that take big picture stuff and they start seeing patterns, and they are able to extrapolate from that. And what he found was he would study cancer clusters. And he started seeing an increase in elementary schools. And there's 2 schools he talks about in California that had these higher than average cancer clusters than would be expected statistically. He took a look, he went in and he measured these high voltage frequency transients and found that they were several thousand times higher than the minimum that was recommended. What they did in that case, and these schools had cell towers on them. UC San Diego, too. People familiar with University of San Diego, UC, had a cancer cluster as well in a building that was right directly under a cell tower. So anyway, what he found was that when they did some mitigation to put filters in, that reduced it. But what I'm recommending and urging, and I agree with everything that's been said, we need to stop the tower from going in, not fix the issues and make our kids be the canaries in the coal mine. So thank you very much.
Liv and then Christine Meyers.
My name is Liv Leifel. I have lived here since 1989, and I have just a few things to say tonight as a concerned citizen and mother. I would like to bring to attention to the fact that in the past 3 weeks, we have obtained over 1,300 signatures and counting, asking to relocate the cell tower away from Elk Meadow Elementary School, not having prior notification to the parents or staff, and only to a handful of residents were ever notified. Normal cell phone towers are 105 feet tall. This cell phone tower will be 84 feet tall to fit the small piece of land they have. That will make it stronger to what is right below, i.e. our children's playground. The cell towers are already considered hazmat zones. Oregon Bill 283 already passed May of 2019, just not finalized until January 2021. Just 1 year and 3 months away. That will keep any hazmat zone away from schools. The National Real Estate Association did a study and found that cellular towers lower property values. The FCC has no new regulations since 1996, and they ran out of money when within the first quarter and fell back to the 1970s already written laws. So we are now 50 years behind, and think of all of the technology changes in that time. The covert way this has been allowed to transpire speaks volume. With all that being said, why would you put it right next to a schoolyard? And you guys can say you have nothing and you guys to do with it, but you guys allowed it to happen.
Thank you, Christine, and then Lauren.
Good evening, council members. Nice to see you again, Mr. King. My name is Christine Meyers, and prepared this speech, and everything that I have said has already been said this evening. So I'd just like to maybe reiterate, speak off the cuff, speak from the heart. You are our elected representatives, and obviously you have heard us. This isn't falling on deaf ears. We've had an opportunity to meet with you, and I appreciate that. You say that you don't have the ability to do anything, that your hands are tied because of federal regulations. But you are, in fact, our representatives of the city. And therefore, you are to represent us and to make change. So how do we make change? How do these laws come into play? By people like us making a difference, speaking to our senators, our legislators, our representatives such as you, who then take it to higher levels of folks that make laws, who make the changes, who stand to represent us, the people, the citizens who are affected by the federal communications regulations that are 20 plus years outdated. There needs to be something done. And together, we are all here tonight asking you to work with us as the citizens of Bend, to serve as our advocates, to be the change for these federal regulations. We need to work together to make that happen. We need to set precedents in the nation, make Bend stand out, make Bend be the lead, just as many other cities throughout our country, as well as the world for that matter. You can't say it can't be done because it's being done. Let's make it happen. Please work with us. Pick up the phone, have a conversation with our Verizon representatives. Tomorrow I will send you, if not tonight, the contacts that we have been working with. And please just have a conversation of what is the process, what is the reality, what can we do as representatives on behalf of us? Because we're doing our part, we're asking you to please do your part. We recognize there was an error maybe overlooked in this. It's been done, we understand that. But we can make change. And so I'm just asking you tonight and provoking that change and to be judicious on behalf of the citizens, on behalf of the kids here, Elk Meadow Elementary School, as well as our educators. Thank you. I will be in touch. Continue doing the great things that you do. Thank you all for being here tonight. Let's be the change. Put Bend on the map. Let's set precedents.
Right, thank you. Lauren, and then Sheila Jean.
Hi, my name is Lauren Van Kooten. I'm a mom. My daughter goes to Elk Meadow Elementary School. And I know that many of you said you're all parents. So I know that you all have hearts and that there's something in there that you might be thinking, wow, would I want my child to go to school there? Think about that. As a parent, my number one goal for my daughter is to keep her safe. And I feel like I can't keep her safe by sending her to school where she's supposed to feel safe. I'm worried about shooters and all kinds of things. And so I'm asking you to call Verizon. We're plenty of people here to help you, to call them whatever information you need. They're aware of what's going on. You heard about how many petitions we have. They don't want to look bad. It's really an easy thing. Like we've said before, it's happening everywhere. Cell towers are being built. They're coming down. We're becoming awake to what's happening, and let's wake up and make a difference. The fact that firefighters are able to say, hey, this is affecting us, and then they take it down. This is our children. They don't have a choice. They can't stand up here and speak. They don't know what's happening to them. So we have to be there for them. Yeah, just the fact that you think your hands are tied is not acceptable, and we will keep showing up, and we're going to keep fighting. And so if you want us to keep coming, we'll just keep coming, right? Okay. Again, this is hard for me to do. This is the first time I've ever done something like this, but I care passionately about it. And I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I just think too, if we could just err on this side of safety, just doesn't make sense to put up a cell tower near a school. Just doesn't make common sense to me and most of the people I've talked to. And I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening. And hopefully we won't see you again.
Sheila Jean.
Good evening. So my name's Sheila Jean Whitefield. I do live in Bend. My parents had a house on Amethyst that we all inherited. So I'm not here just about cell towers near schools. I'm about stopping the 5G rollout altogether. It's not safe for anyone. It's radiation, the length of the radiation is about the size of a bee, which is why it kills them so easily. And when the bees are gone, we're gone. And we're so close to that already. As far as, can you stop it? Yes, you can. Number one, you can put it on the ballot. Have the city of Bend vote that as a city we reject it. We don't want 5G. Slow internet is fine. Call CenturyLink and put in a landline. Shut your cell phones down, because the only thing that's speaking to these people is money. The reason they're doing this is that they intend to make about $70 trillion off of it. They're going to force you to pay for fees for stuff that you don't want. And they're using you for a guinea pig. They're setting up a mass surveillance system and a weapon system. They are forcing us to build our own cage. Now, before they have closed the door, turn the cell phone off. Tell them why you're shutting the contract down. And if we can't get the city council to listen, let's start a trust fund and put all our property taxes into it and notify them that we're not going to pay property taxes until they start protecting us. Something has to be done. The city of Portland could do it. Now, I don't know how they did it, but I know it can be done. And I don't want to hear about how it can't be done. It can be done. And it can be done a lot easier now before 5G is rolled out and we've got a weapon system up in the sky tracking everything we do than later. Because I'm tired of being the frog in the pan. Well, they keep cranking up the water. So let's put it on the ballot. Let's start showing up at every city council meeting. Let's start making all our neighbors come with us. I wrote this. Now, it could be updated. True. Because now it's more like 22,000 scientists have signed. There are lawsuits against the FCC because the FCC is not doing their job. And neither was the Utility Commission, who let the smart meter rollout happen. And I did protest. And I told them
The red light's blinking, and to respect everyone who came in front of you.
it says 14 seconds, and now it's over. I see.
So thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
So that does conclude our conversation on this particular topic. We have a few more people to speak in the public comment section, but I just want to sort of stop and thank everyone who had the courage to come and speak tonight.
Welcome to stay. For the
Yeah,
rest.
you're welcome to stay. I just. If you have you signed